Aloha, welcome back to ʻāina Bear Farm. Just wanted to do a year-end food forest tour for you guys so you can just kind of see how everything has progressed in 2024. So as I walk through, I'll just kind of talk about some of the big stories for this year as opposed to trying to go into all the little details. But if you haven't seen some of our other videos, like we have videos where we break it down zone by zone and go into like really specific detail what's going on in every zone and all the different plants, and they're kind of longer but interesting if you want more information. So here we've got one of the big stories of 2024, which is just an insane amount of biomass that we produced this year from our support species, and then the purchase of a wood chipper so that we can process those and just help them break down a little faster and kind of aid the spread of our organic material around our trees and things. This is a lot of like Tithonia, Gliricidia, ice cream bean, just fast growing support species that we grow a lot of, some of which are nitrogen fixing, just really rich in nutrients. We chip them with the leaves so that you get like a lot of nutrient in there, and then we kind of do a variety of things. We mix them with our compost, and which we make with like rabbit manure and food scraps and all that kind of stuff, and then we also just spread them in certain areas just as raw wood chips. Another big story as I come across this avocado is a lot of things fruited for the first time this year. So this is our 6th year developing this food forest. So if you haven't followed the channel for a while, this was nothing but pasture grass, like tall guinea grass, and we planted all of this. And so this was a grafted kahalu'u avocado tree that was maybe like a 3-foot tall twig. We put it in. This probably went in the ground about 4.5 years ago, and flowered last year, put on some little fruits, but they dropped. And this year it held on to probably about 30 to 40 really good sized, delicious avocados. So that was really nice. Rolinias, we got our first Rolinia this year. So that was exciting. Still waiting for them to kind of crank out a little more abundant fruit. We've been making compost piles in the food forest now in various locations, which is kind of like a really cool, like 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing, because we'll clear an area around a fruit tree. So like in this case, this is in a chaichoru, and build the compost pile here, and so anything that sort of ends up just broken down into the soil ends up feeding the nearby fruit tree before we move along and spread it in other places where we want it. So we've been doing a lot of that this year. We've put in a lot more of the perennial peanut ground cover, so we've got quite a bit more ground cover area where we've gotten rid of all the grass and we just have the perennial peanut. We've added some new native plants, including this kolea, which is just really beautiful with those new red leaves popping out every time it shoots out new growth. Had our first jackfruit off of this Zeman pink. That was definitely a delight. Been waiting on that for quite a while. And some trees took a break this year, trees that have fruited before, like this black sapote we've had fruit from before, but no fruit this year. But it's put on a lot of extra foliage, so I'm hoping we'll get another decent fruiting in the near future. Been keeping this area clear. It's where we play with the dogs, but also we harvest a lot of this cut grass, blend it into our compost piles, and use it as mulch for our garden. But my dream of having this, zone 2 food forest, open field, and then zone 3 food forest is really starting to come to fruition as both sides start to fill out a little more. So it's really nice to have this kind of like walled in open section. Of course, the beautiful views of the ocean. So as the food forest matures, just really cool to be able to sit out here and enjoy that view. We have gotten some ulu, not off of this tree, this is a massive ma'afala. That any day now I'm expecting some fruit. This does have plenty of the pollinator flowers on it. So we've been getting a lot of those, which means that the fruit shouldn't be too far after. And the season for things like that is kind of funny here. You just never really know. Like usually the biggest season is harvesting them in November, and we did get a small harvest off one of our other older trees this November, but you never know the way the weather patterns are gonna play out, what you're gonna get. And so as I mentioned earlier, lots of biomass. So here's another pile. This is all Tithonia waiting to be chipped. Huge amount of biomass. And in some places where we have the stumps where we took the Tithonia out, we're actually removing the Tithonia at this point because we don't need it anymore. It's kind of run its course and the shade has built up around it. And now we're able to, kind of go into the next succession phase. Zone 3, not too much has changed. Still mostly just grass. We've got 15 fruit tree spots out here that are open. They're ready to plant. They've been mixed with biochar. These pukas are here. We've got some support species out here, like some ice cream bean here and down the hill. And we have a few of these Gliricidia that are hanging on. They just really don't like being out in the open like this when they don't have root on them and you're trying to get them to root. And then as we go further out into zones 4 and 5, we've been planting more ice cream beans. We've got some of the iliahi or sandalwood, some loquat. We're going to put some more Malabar chestnut out there. Our giant bamboos are doing pretty good. Starting to come on strong, although they really slow down this time of year. Trying to put some more kukui in here and there. Our irrigation system has been a nice luxury addition to 2024, but of course, in the irony that a lot of you are probably very familiar with, this has been the wettest year we've had since we've lived here. So until very recently, we've had steady rain all year. We've probably had over 100 inches this year. I kind of just stopped even measuring because it was beyond adequate, and we haven't really had to use the irrigation system much, but when I have had to, it has been just awesome to be able to turn that on and then go and do other things. See some of these older ice cream beans really getting big and filling in, and we're just kind of letting them go right now. We're enjoying the shade and the grass suppression that they're offering, and they're really not in the way of anything at this point. But I've got some mangosteen on deck to probably plant in their shade, and then we'll probably just kind of lift the skirt, so to speak, as take off all this lower stuff so that the sun can kind of come in the morning and afternoon, but you get that midday shade. This Casteri mango looking pretty good. Finally had enough windbreak from the Tithonia. Keep it from getting shredded all the time. In some of our more developed canopy, like under these Acacia confusa trees, we have started a new strategy of putting down cardboard with wood chips So you can see like this area has been there for a while, and all the grass seems to have been broken down underneath it. And we put some native plants of some maki in there, and then we just put some more cardboard down today, so we're going to get some wood chips on that. And then we're going to plant native ferns through this because we get pretty dense shade all day in areas like this. The ground covers like perennial peanut really don't make a lot of sense. They don't really flourish in that level of shade. But the kupu is a spreading fern. I can show you when we come across it. And then palapalai is another beautiful native fern. And they're just perfect in those forest understory situations. This is a yellow jaboticaba that bloomed flowers for the first time this year. I'm not sure if it's going to make fruit this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, but got kind of some little remnants of the flower buds, so we'll see. Kind of keeping an eye on that. I would definitely love to try those. It's something I've never had before. Got our first mangoes this year. This is a Raposa, not off of this tree. Some of these bigger trees, we've really tried to prune them back and then spread some magnesium, potassium around to try to encourage some more fruiting. This one's never flowered before, so we'll see if that does anything. We've been putting in more perennial peanut, but also mixing it. This is ʻā'i'i, a native plant that's like super rugged here. It can handle pretty much anything, wind, drought, you name it. And then we have so many white pineapples that we are just kind of sticking them anywhere where there's sunshine in these somewhat temporary spots that later will be filled in with canopy. We've been trying to thin out some of our more aggressive banana clumps. This one is a kind of our standard full-size apple banana here, and these things, are 20 plus feet tall, and when they're happy, they will just send up so many new plants. But if you've got the time, just cut them down, cut the stems in half, lay them down. It just makes an awesome weed suppression and organic build-up for trees like this nearby soursop, which we've continued to get a lot of great fruit off of this year. We've gotten areas like this that are just have become so foresty in 2024 with so much canopy. As I kind of pan around, there's Gliricidia. This is a native Ho'ava understory. This is a canoe plant, the kukui, brought here by the Hawaiians originally. And the macnut, the Sesbania sesbin in the middle there. And so, in spots like this, we're just really, you feel like you're in a forest. You've got leaf litter on the ground. The grass is really struggling to grow under here. Mangosteen, looking really good. Still probably got a ways to go for fruit, but I'm starting to get excited. Our cacao is, some of it, growing, fine, slow, but I think that's just how it goes. We added ice cream bananas for the first time this year, aka blue Java, the ones I'm talking about. They've got that like crazy blue coloration to them and absolutely delicious bananas. We've already harvested one rack. We've really trying to shape some of our younger mangoes. This is Keat, and we took out a lot of the bushiness of it, try to provide that shape that will continue to branch out and hopefully hold a lot of fruit. This is one we got some fruit from this year and was really delicious. We are running out of fuel to make biochar, but still maybe a little bit more. But we're also running out of places to put biochar, so that's okay. This is always a sad thing for me every year when the ʻāina, or the turmeric, dies back, goes dormant in the winter. So even though we're warm all the way year round, that's its life cycle. So we won't see it again until probably May or June. It starts to pop back up again. I will miss it. That's one of my faves. So I mentioned, it's been really nice and rainy, lots of rainfall this year, but we have been in a pretty bad dry spell for about a month now. And so you're starting to see some evidence of that with like the yellowing and the perennial peanut, just how dry the pathways are. I haven't seen it like this since 2023, I think. Our Avapuhi ginger still kicking, looking a little ratty, but expecting that to go dormant again soon. And then we'll divide that up and start spreading it around. Oh, here's the kupu fern I mentioned. So once it gets going and it's happy, it'll just really spread and act as a really nice aggressive ground cover. And then this is under a longan or longan tree, which also fruited for the first time this year. This is that BOQ grafted variety that's really popular and well known here, and those were just absolutely delicious. So stoked to have them. We've got our native palm, Lolu, still kicking along there, slowly but surely. This Ma'ohahele is our native flower, the yellow hibiscus, the native one. And it's oftentimes gets really chewed on, but it's actually kind of looking decent right now. It's purple kaimito, the star apple, which really was happy with all the rain this year. So put on a lot of nice new growth. Still no pond. One day. Just a budgetary thing. Got other priorities, have to spend the money on, but that's okay. We put in this Chico Sapodilla, which is a new one this year. And stoked because got new growth on there. It's been doing pretty good so far. We've also gotten some plants that, I also got a new dog. This is Ash. So we now have Ash and Polo. I don't know where Polo is, but double the security. Anything suspicious in the food forest, he's on it. We got some other kind of filler plants, some heliconia from our friend and neighbor. So we're stoked to have those in. And, be delighted to see those really cool heliconia flowers. Let those kind of fill in. And then out here in Zone 3, nothing too much going on, but I am happy that these Tithonia wind walls are starting to fill in, because the idea here was just that we really needed to slow down the wind pressure on our fruit trees in this Zone 3 section. And so those are starting to fill in nicely, and then we just need to kind of keep continuing that down the way here so we can alleviate some of the wind damage that they're experiencing. Back to Zone 2. Got a few other things happening before we wrap this up. This is one of our 2 Malabar chestnut trees, both fruited for the first time this year. And I've harvested the chestnuts, but I actually have not had a chance to even try them yet. So still looking forward to that. Tons of bananas this year. This is another patch of Namwa, and it's just like they're just everywhere. This is a pretty small rack, but we've got racks of nama that are probably pushing 50 pounds in some places, and we've got the ice cream banana, we've got regular apple bananas, so no shortage of bananas. Here's a tree that has not made an appearance in a lot of our videos in the past. This is Iliahi, the sandalwood, and so this is pretty cool. This is a special tree here in Hawaii. It is a native, and it's of course prized for the oils that can be extracted from the roots, but also just a beautiful tree. Oh, there's Polu doing his job. Our big Mapulehu mango fruited this year, and I think we only got one fruit off of it though, because of the timing didn't work out so well in terms of like rain and wind, and knocked a lot of the flowers off while it was flowering. That just happened to be a pretty stormy time of year. So we'll see what happens this year. We put some magnesium, potassium down with that one too. Come under these Gliricidia here. Another new patch of perennial peanut, ʻāʻali'i, white pineapple. And this is our pineapple crop area. It was kind of a disappointing white pineapple crop this year. I don't know, sort of maybe like an interim lull this year. So we're hoping that 2025 is going to be better, because we'll have this row will be producing, and this is a pretty densely planted row, almost close to like 1 foot spacing, and then the two rows a couple feet apart. And so there's probably 50 plants here. And then we've got another mature row that's much longer row. They're spaced a little further apart, but close to 100 plants on that row that'll be, and both of them will be fruiting this summer. And this will be 2026 in this smaller one, and then we're getting ready to clear the next row to plant this summer. A couple of other mangoes that haven't fruited but are looking good. The Namdok Mai, that's got to be getting close. And the Carrie made a lot of flowers this year, and some tiny little like berry-sized fruits, but they all fell off, so it wasn't quite ready yet. This is looking like it maybe could use a little more pruning. Some of these are just so vigorous here. Some of our kukui, like this one, have really taken off. So I keep clearing the Gliricidia and stuff out of the way. So I've got all this debris just to make room for the growth there. Mame sapote put on a lot of growth in 2024. And some of our ice cream beans are just massive trees now. This guy is probably at least 25 feet up and fairly vertical, which is kind of nice, because that means I don't have to manage a lot of that like upper story, and I just take off some of the stuff that's growing like out, for example, over the lemon tree here. So as you can see, plenty of biomass ready for the chipper. We added one more variety of ulu or breadfruit. This is the Jamaican yellow heart. So the Ulu Co-op on the Big Island had these, and I thought, oh, okay, I'd like to try that. See how it compares. It kind of looks a little like the Ulu Maoli, which is the heirloom Hawaiian variety. And then some more native plants. Alahe'e is a native relative of the coffee plant. And then Ili'e'e, the ground cover, that's our native plumbago. Just trying to add diversity and see how different plants do here, and see all the different ways that I can mix them and use them in this system. Our Annona salzmani, the beach sugar apple from Brazil. That started flowering this year but didn't make fruit. So hopefully next year. I've heard really good things about that fruit. So I'd love to try that. Another Malabar chestnut. This one had a lot of fruit on it. Actually still has a couple of pods here and there. Just pop those open. They're full of nuts that are in little shells. Just deshell them, saute them. Loquats are doing good. I've been able to start harvesting. See some yellow ones up there. Oh, so delicious. Our favorite treats from this time of year. And our kalo patch is back with at least 10 different types of kalo in here. So we're trying out a lot of different stuff. We're trying to keep it irrigated in this dry spell. And we fed that the bat guano fertilizer, put that in before we planted these, and I think that has accounted for some nice lush growth that they're experiencing in their early life. This is an ulu tree, a breadfruit that I think is fiti. It wasn't really labeled properly when I bought it many years ago, but we have gotten fruit off of this. Kind of small-ish, but perfectly delicious fruits. And then we've got new fruit coming here on this one. And here's another example of one of our compost bins. So this is like the early stage where we're taking the grass that we're cutting from, it's the guinea grass we're cutting from the paths, and we stack it up in here, mix it with the cut green grass from the field, and just let it get wet and start breaking down. And then as we kind of go from different pile to different pile, because I've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these going right now, we start mixing in the food scraps and the rabbit manure until it's fully broken down and full of nutrient and ready to spread out. But in the meantime, kind of gave us a little excuse to clear some area of grass around this ulu tree, and maybe just let it benefit a little bit from the fungal stuff that's happening at the base of that pile and things of that nature. I'm not going to go down to the agroforestry system in this video because we're already running pretty long, and I'm going to wrap this up before everybody bails on me. This is one of our rock quarries that we're dealing with right now. So we have plenty of rocks for the day that we finally build our pond, that's for sure. We're trying to actually get rid of a whole bunch of horrible torpedo grass that is in this area. So if you have this stuff, start getting rid of it as soon as possible to the best of your ability, because if you let it spread, it is just awful to deal with. And then one of the last things I want to show you guys to wrap up this video in 2024 is this windbreak of bamboo. So let me slide around to the other side. So this has appeared in other videos, but I haven't given an update for a while. And this is a tropical blue hedge bamboo variety, which is also known as Barbie, but it's got this really cool blue color. You can see on some of these bigger ones that are starting to grow now. And if I can get it to focus on that. It looks so cool. They're, of course, clumping bamboo. Don't plant any running bamboo anywhere. And these will get 25, 30 feet tall and basically make a wall of that gorgeous powdery blue bamboo right here. And this is an area where the wind just funnels through and hits the food forest. And so really hoping to tame that quite a bit with just these 4 plants. And so we'll see. I mean, once they are of full size, and we can kind of gauge, if we need more wind protection. I've also planted a lot of Gliricidia and other things, that'll get bigger, like about this size. That's a Gliricidia on this part of the property to just stop the wind from kind of blasting in off of the ocean and, forcing a lot of our trees to grow sideways. Like here's a star fruit, and great tree, fruits heavily. It's actually coming to the end of its fruiting season, so you can see a few still in there here and there. But we've had at least 100 fruit off of this year. But you can see the way that when the wind comes up over the top from that direction, it hits this top part and just kind of shears it right off. So at this point, that tree is like probably never going to get taller than that unless we give it some wind protection. So it's on the way, buddy. Just hang in there. This side, see, look at this side. Looks completely different. One that's protected from the wind. All right, well, I know that's probably long enough, so thanks for hanging in there with me. And I hope you had an excellent 2024. I'm wishing you all the best in 2025. We've got a lot of things in store this year, a lot of stuff to be excited about, a lot of stuff to be grateful for. And so I look forward to sharing more videos with you guys in the future. And until then, Happy New Year from ʻAina Bear Farm. Aloha.